The public once again confirming that there may be little appetite for many far-left news programs in a mainstream marketplace. Two MSNBC shows on the Peacock platform are now getting the boot. Branded as MSNBC's The Choice, launched in October of 2020, it's a nice cup of tea for anyone who supports far-left policies and candidates like those in the squad and who could never get enough Donald Trump bashing. If you tune in, you can probably count on hearing something like this from the hosts of the two shows that have been canceled.
Can the Republican Party ever be anything but an authoritarian personality cult again?
Trump's masculinity is fragile, and we've seen that repeatedly, like when he denied rumors that he had small little hands.
That's what the GOP has become. It is a cult of conspiracy-pushing liars.
Well, apparently this type of news is not working that well. Zerlina Maxwell, who previously served as a Democratic activist and former campaign aide to Hillary Clinton, and Aidan McLaughlin, one of MSNBC's most liberal hosts, which is saying a lot, will both lose their programs. The network will keep Maxwell as an on-air analyst, while McLaughlin will continue as a weekend show on MSNBC. Now, personalities who continue to host MSNBC shows on Peacock include liberals like Mehdi Hasan, former White House advisor Symone Sanders, and NBC News legal analyst Katie Phang. And coming this fall, former White House press secretary Jen Psaki. Now, it seems to me that it's not rocket science. Despite being associated with one of the biggest left-leaning national news brands in America, most of these far-left shows struggle to bring in audiences. And so it's unclear what exactly the strategy is here at all. I mean, it's hard to believe that Symone Sanders' show has a big following. Remember back in May, her debut show was actually on MSNBC, where she interviewed the First Lady. It was a flop. Sanders drew 25% below what the time slot was averaging leading up to the premiere. And of course, that was a fraction of Fox News Channel's programming for that hour. Meanwhile, Fox has had success on its streaming platform, Fox Nation, which also has a show hosted by Tucker Carlson. Joining me now is Aidan McLaughlin, the editor-in-chief of Mediaite.com, which I founded. Aidan, thanks for coming on the show. Appreciate it.
Yeah, of course.
So these two shows not doing particularly well?
Right. I think that's what I've heard from an industry insider that I spoke to today. They said that these particular shows were struggling, and that's the reason why they were canceled in particular, because, of course, there are still opinion shows on Peacock that MSNBC is still putting their support behind.
And are they going to keep this going? I mean, are they going to keep this The Choice, I guess is what they're calling? They're going to keep going with it, or is it going to end up like CNN Plus?
I don't think there's any sign that MSNBC is going to abandon their streaming platform bid, because NBC News now already has NBC News' streaming platform. So there is an option for NBC News viewers. Now there's an option for MSNBC viewers to watch their news programs. I think they see it as the future of their video programming. So I don't think it's something that they're going to abandon like CNN Plus was. It's also far less expensive than CNN Plus was.
It does seem, though, that something like Fox Nation has had much more success than something like Peacock. Why is that?
I think there's a couple reasons. One, liberal programming is way more saturated. If you're a liberal news consumer, you can watch, any of the mainstream broadcast networks.
Wait, there's a lot of liberal news out there? Aidan McLaughlin, breaking news.
Yeah, it'll shock you to hear that.
Yeah.
Fox News has a monopoly on conservative news. If you disregard Newsmax and OAN, which are much smaller and much fringier. So Fox News also has a relationship with its audience that is way more tribal, I would say, than MSNBC does. I think only Rachel Maddow commands the amount of admiration from the audience that Tucker Carlson does and that Sean Hannity does and that all the rest of the Fox News hosts do. So I think it's just a different relationship with the audience, and that's why you're seeing any host not named Rachel Maddow in MSNBC struggle to draw the audience that she regularly does.
Right. And do we know they have ratings at Peacock, right? Or they have some sense of the fact that these two hosts in particular were doing worse than the rest of the hosts?
Right. The streamers are incredibly tight-lipped about who is watching and how many people are watching their shows. So we don't actually know what the numbers were. Fox Nation, we have a bit of a sense of how many people watch that streaming service, the Fox News one. It's around 2 million subscribers. We don't exactly know how many people watch Peacock, particularly the news shows. My guess is there's a lot fewer people than are watching NBC shows like The Office.
Right. Is the reason we don't know because they don't want to share those numbers?
CNN Plus numbers came out about a week after it launched, and they weren't great, and it's because people were leaking them.
Right.
CNN did not want those numbers out there, and it was eventually one of the reasons why their corporate bosses eventually pulled the plug on the streaming platform.
Yeah. So no surprise to see these two shows, at least in particular, go.
Not a particular surprise, but MSNBC is still keeping Zerlina Maxwell and Aidan McLaughlin on their payroll. He's still hosting a show on weekends. She's still serving as an analyst. So I think they decided that the streaming shows weren't working, that there just wasn't enough of an audience there. We'll see what happens to the rest of the...
I'll be surprised if this left opinion on Peacock and the streaming platform continues for the long term.
Well, it's hard to say because there are online streaming platforms like the Young Turks, for example, which has an incredibly progressive far-left opinion, and that does very well.
Right.
So I think it's a matter of finding opinion that works for the audience. Peacock clearly just hasn't found its audience yet. And whether or not they're able to siphon that audience off from MSNBC without cannibalizing it remains to be seen.
Yeah. All right, Aidan McLaughlin, thanks for coming in. Appreciate it.
Thanks.
Coming up, thank you for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find NewsNation on your cable provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.